Hi, welcome to another episode of the Itinerary. So, I'm testing a new setup today. I'm actually streaming out on my laptop, which is about 4 years old. Kind of a beast machine, but only has about 16 gigs of RAM, and RAM is incredibly expensive and painful to acquire. But I'm kind of enjoying the fact that I've sort of moved to a different room upstairs and have a different semi-podcasting setup going on right now. So I figured we would go through what the things that I've kind of new things I wrote this week on this app, and that kind of also coincides about what I did this week. So, big thing on Friday is that I went to Seafair. Um, since I don't have a real job anymore, I figure and I've kind of wanted to go to Seafair, like the actual one. I've been to one of the beaches nearby here. I think it's this section. It's like in Medina, right around here, to see the aircraft fly by and the Blue Angels. But I haven't actually ever been to the Lakewood Seafair proper. So then I was looking at tickets and how to attend and over the weekend, and then I found out that Friday was free. And I don't have a real job anymore. So I just like asked my husband, it's like, hey, do you want to go to Seafair? And it's like, it's Friday. It was kind of impromptu on Thursday. I don't see why we can't do that. And it's like, yep. So went out to Seafair and saw the air show, saw a few planes, and then we'll get into like, yeah, I caught this really nice low pass from the Blue Angels at Seafair. That was pretty awesome. Yeah. So that was just Friday. It's more than just the air show. So as I was going by, we ran around lunchtime. So, I was at Seafair. There's a couple of food vendors, but what I saw was kind of what was a bit of the controversy that you would find about the Bite of Seattle. It's a little weird to talk about the Bite of Seattle given this year it had that shooting, but in the past years of the Bite of Seattle, the controversies is that big food vendors like this one would take over most of the good spaces, and they're not actually from local here. This is a little less problematic because it's not supposed to be like a showcase of Seattle local food stuff. But this one particularly, I think we got like this beef sandwich for like $20. Completely not worth it. But if you run around the edges, you'll find something like Sully Eats Washington, which is actually a true Washington local bagel stand. And I think they show up in various farmers markets. There's like $4 for a cheddar jalapeno bialy, which is totally worth it. Like one of the best deals you can get if you needed to buy and eat something to get full. Totally worth it. $4, really great deal. I think this is like sourdough. But it's no hay bagel, but this is actually certainly up there in terms of quality, quality of a bread product. I also got this bone marrow. I thought this was like the seared bone marrow people from Bite of Seattle, but apparently they're different. Yeah, this is like Project Marrow. They're also actually from Seattle. I thought it was $20 for one bone. Yeah, he gave me two half bones, which I thought it was $20 for one bone, but like two half bones for $20, actually not terrible. And I got it with their garlic sauce. This is actually kind of the jarred pickled garlic that's pretty, like, you would kind of regard as pretty low quality in stores, but actually in this case it totally works. I don't know if it was intentional. But that sort of acidity and picklingness of the garlic actually really helps cut through the marrow fattiness with a crostini. Like, I actually thought this was pretty well worth it. I think this was a Puffle Up. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Puffle Up corn dog This was next to the bone marrow stand. Interesting, you can only get half cheese and half sausage, but actually, like, the sausage is actually like fish cake. Um, it was fine, like, nothing to worry about, but I'm not too mad about it at $10 for an event pricing. The absolute best thing though was this shortcake bar thing. $20 got you this huge shortcake sundae with a lot of fresh berries, easily split between two people. Like I was full after this. And this is not just one of the best fair event things I've ever eaten. Like, this is just one of the best things I've eaten, period. It had a ton of fresh berries. It was not just sweet. Like, it was actually a lot of fresh fruit flavor. And there was, like, a fantastic pound cake, like, layer on it that actually had very nice, like, caramelized, like, that sort of, like, brown bits on the sheet cake of the pound. Like, the edges that touch the metal, like, that kind of caramelized sugar flavor. Really, really good. Like, I'd fight, like, I'd hunt for this anywhere, if you can find it. A little disorganized here. Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is when we entered Seafair, went through security, saw some boats, some beef jerky people. Actually, like, most of the time, it's like, first at the gate, you see a lot of military hardware, like military recruitment, military propaganda, kind of out there. Like, actually, like, this is kind of one of the most impressive displays of military hardware I've seen. This isn't a real gun. This isn't an M240 Bravo. It's actually a wooden mock-up that they put up there. That's a Striker MGS, like, not a mobile gun system, but this is a Striker armor vehicle. Actually pretty underrated, in my opinion, in terms of, like, military equipment. Like, I think this kind of gets a bad rap, but I really like it. Different drones, AT-4s. There's, like, an M777 howitzer out there, and what was cool is that they were letting people, there was, like, a competition on a leaderboard of how fast can you crank the gun to a firing solution. So then the person who could crank the wheels the fastest to get the firing solution got on the leaderboard. Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of military recruitment, 70, like, Ranger Regiment, MLRS systems, like, a lot of really, really cool, like, military hardware. I guess being a Canadian, it's like, I've only seen it as, like, oh, there's a LAV. Like now it's like each individual department had their own section. Army had their fitness center, and it's like doing 26 pull-ups. I tried my best, but I could pretty much only do about 10. They were actually trying to give me a water bottle. I have way too many water bottles, and I think you only needed 5 to get a pencil, and I just said, it's like, I have way too many water bottles. I'd really rather get the pencil, so I did 10 of them, and all I got was this pencil. So, but to be fair, I think it was like a lanyard, and they ran out of lanyards, and the next one was 15 for a water bottle, and I was just like, I'd really rather have the pencil. Oh yeah, so a bit of disorganizing my photos, but yeah, this is the puffle up Korean cheese dog. Yeah, outside on the edges though, if you were going on the outside edges, you would find some much more interesting vendors like Knefa, which is like sort of like the noodle pistachio cheese dessert from the Middle East, and I think this stand was also doing shawarma. Like, absolutely, like, just go there instead of whatever these vendors are, or this one. Like, they're probably just not from this, they're not from the state even. So I definitely would rather go do that. Ezel's is also out on the outside edges, and so is Mayan. This is a fantastic food truck. I'd go there any day over these ones. So, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that Seafair was about air shows. But my husband was like, oh, there's supposed to be like racing boats too. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of like the entire point of this event.
Mark, yeah, really a tardy start here. Wow, look at John Shaw. He is
So I think like most people actually left after the Blue Angels, which is kind of funny because I think the main thing is supposed to be this boat racing thing, but I think I'm not alone on the most people just are thinking it's just there for the air show. But actually seeing these things in real life, it was really impressive. Like these things hitting about 150 miles an hour, and I believe they have about 2,000-ish brake horsepower, depending on their jet turbine engines, racing across the water at 150 miles an hour. Very actually impressive stuff. So I was pretty impressed on it. Yeah, so nearby Totem Lake, someplace on like Totem Square. I think on lunch, I saw this dim sum place called Dim Sum Yuan. Uh, uh, Even though it looked like it was a very Cantonese menu, it was actually run by some mainland Chinese people, or at least Taiwanese people, maybe. This wonton mein caught my eye, but the noodles are not correct. But the wontons itself and the broth is actually quite good. A little strange with the cilantro and green onions. This feels like something my mom would make because she was born in Vietnam, but we're all Chinese. So it was actually kind of strange. Like I'm not totally against this idea. It feels like it came from a different region and a different family. But this is definitely not a Cantonese style. Like this is not a Hong Kong style, at least wonton mein. But it was actually pretty good. So nice like pork and shrimp mix, totally how I would like it. Like very difficult to find this kind of quality around here. I just wish the noodles were like different on this one, but I really did like the broth. I really did like the wontons, and perfectly good dim sum. Like husband got hagao, siu mai, cha siu bao, and siu long bao. Like this would be the soup dumplings. It's advertised as a handmade, and I actually believe them. I think there's a little bit of contention on the reviews whether or not, but I actually can tell because this is uneven. You can kind of see the siumai is like not perfectly level. This is a little bit of a tell that it was formed in someone's hand and it tilted a bit as they smeared the filling into the wrapper. Usually when it has this tilted slant, it's not frozen in factory, which is a little bit of a tell. And this soup dumpling, the siu bao, is actually like I'm usually skeptical of dim sum places that have this, because they're not very good compared to like a place that does it properly, like Dozone or Din Tai Fung. But this was actually pretty good. Like this was actually pretty serviceable as a siu bao. So my test for Chinese places is whether or not I would bring mom there. And in this particular case, I would, probably with some stipulations that she might be a bit annoyed that this is not using the right noodles. But the broth is good. The wontons are good. I think the products are good. Of the hagao and the siumai, the shrimp dumplings and the pork shrimp dumplings. And also, you can tell with the cha siu bao that this isn't using the artificial food coloring. This is brown instead of that like bright red. That's usually a tell that this is not using the artificial food coloring. So I think they're actually doing all this legit. So, and then I saw like in that square around here, it was actually very interesting. Totem Lake is not terribly interesting in terms of vendors. Like if you go to like Totem Lake up here, I don't have anything, but like it's very sort of generic shopping mall sort of thing. Not terribly, but like Totem Square actually has a lot of really interesting stuff in its unassuming environment. So there was like this Persian bakery. They had baklava that looked fantastic, but as good as it looked, it didn't. It's not to my taste preference. I'm not entirely sure about it. It has this amazing browning. It has like very nice like pool of honey butter mix, but it tastes very heavily of rose water. It's very like rose water forward, and I'm not 100% sure about that as my preference. But they do them, and I'm sure they care a lot. Amazing looking flatbreads. It has like this amazing oven. I wish we'd come back and buy some of those breads whenever we need some, but lot of like really nice Persian stuff. Yeah, really interesting. This is a pro Shah, like the pro king sort of. I've seen some flyers around that area, like as far as an Iranian Persian place. I just thought that was interesting. I don't really have a dog in that fight, but got these fruit leathers. Like I've seen this in some documentaries around Tehran about like these rolled out sheets of fruit leathers, and it comes in like in this bag that you can have multiple different varieties of these of cherries, apricots. Like really cool. There's I think it's like a Eastern European Russian. I'm gonna say Russian. Like honey cake, piroshkis, caviar. Yeah, it's like Eastern European Russian grocery store. Looked really cool. And there's a Katanda, which is generally the place where I get Asahi, and it had like Katanda Market, and I thought it was just kind of like all their other ones, where it's like this basically small shelf of stuff. No, this is actually a legit store, like a legit Brazilian grocery store inside, with various Brazilian like condiments and coffee and chocolates and cocos and whatever, and there's even beauty products on the side. So I'm just like, okay, I'm giving this as a pass. Like this is an actual real market store for stuff, and it seems like they bake all their stuff there and have it shipped over to the other stores. So really interesting. Maybe I should really just drop by over there and have that at some point, because I really do enjoy their acai and cal de peso, the cheese balls. My husband really likes the coconut bun, so we should really stop there at some point. Saw a martial arts gym over there, Orion Sports Club, and it seems like they are primarily boxing. And I kind of caught on that what they were teaching was more the Russian style of boxing, just based on their stance for a little bit for like the 2 minutes, and then when I saw like the instructors' last names on the website, I was like, oh yeah, they are totally from that Soviet style boxing system. I should totally take a trial class because I've been very curious about it. Yeah, it's the Totem Lake shopping area, nice but pretty sterile place. It's a place where you can get like salt and straw ice cream, but Totem Square is very, very interesting if you are kind of more culturally inclined about if Brazilian, like, because there's different places, like there's like a Brazilian steak. It's like a Brazilian steakhouse, but it's not actually the all you eat variety. It's one that you order each cut separately, which may not sound terribly appealing, but I was told like this is kind of more of the real traditional one than just the all you can eat, like fogo de chao. I've been looking for a place that kind of does feijoada and that sort of stuff just as a focus rather than just as the meat place. Yeah, and then there was like another Persian market that was also pro Shah. Like I just thought that was like actually pretty interesting, that this was kind of just plastered around the area. These people probably have some pretty interesting stories about how they got here, what happened. But I totally would recommend that you come around this area. It's really, really cool. What else? And scrolling out the 16 gigs of memory is not easy. All right, Redmond Square. Oh yeah, it's downtown park. I was out on a run. I usually just do this as my fitness around the summer because running outside is more interesting. And I saw some Chinese kids. I think it was like some Chinese band out here. Yeah, so Mandarin Chinese band on Redmond Downtown Park. That was just kind of interesting that I was like running down by those Redmond things. Um, where else? Oh yeah, so there was like an artist alley thing. Yeah, it's like I was running down the square and then I guess I ran past and saw like this artist alley thing they were selling. String band playing Queen, so that's cool. Um, yeah, just people selling their art stuff. Um, I saw this knife dealer. I'm kind of a big cutlery person, but it started giving me red flags about like I thought it was like, oh cool, Damascus, like, spatulas or something. But when I picked them up, they were kind of leaving me with some red flags because I checked their edges, and although it looks cool in Damascus, that it just didn't have the fine edge refinement. It looked like a very fast mass production, not a good mass production like pass of doing the sharpening of the edges, and there's just like too many crazy variety, even though it says it was like handmade knives. I'm sure they're handmade, but they're probably just like on import on someplace. Not even from China. Maybe it's like Indonesia or something. Made to incredibly low standards. And if you check their website, it was like selling it for like hundred-ish dollars, which that doesn't sound cheap, but that is very, very, very cheap on terms of handmade Damascus. So I don't think these guys are real, which is unfortunate, especially if they're selling swords and stuff like that. It's like no single hand maker would ever do that sort of thing, so I would avoid. Apparently we're getting like a hand roll, like a place that looks like it's doing some hand roll sushi, like not just maki, but not just nigiri, but maki. So I am kind of curious. Okay. I was walking by and I saw it's like these people will give you like a free poem, and I kind of joked whether or not AI was causing poetry prices to crash this much that they were giving away for free, but they took that joke pretty well. Had some conversations about but they were just like, hey, this is about expressing some things that maybe the commercial AI agents wouldn't want to talk about, like sex and drugs and crime and that sort of stuff, and this sort of topic. So they took it pretty well. That is like AI has really caused collapse in poetry prices. As slow as this map is, I found working on this, and then you use other people's like commercial places mapping applications, and you really wonder why it's so bad. Maybe because no one else has figured it out. Last one. So I'll pull it down on there's this place called like Great Wall Shopping Mall Center in Kent. It's actually kind of fascinating because it's built like a Great Wall. It's a really interesting mall, like Chinese mall area in Kent. So I went to this restaurant and I thought it was Imperial Garden Peking Duck. But this place is permanently closed. I was very confused because Google said it was open and Yelp said it was closed. And when I called up to make reservations, they existed and they took my reservations. And then when I showed up to a place, it was something else. It was like a different restaurant. But okay, then I was like, sure, like, do you still have Peking duck? And it's like, no, we don't have Peking duck. Oh no. I was like, okay, but then I opened the menu and it was like everything that, you would usually have, my family would usually have on like a set menu order. So like there's like a set menu for like 4 people, 6 people, 8 people. And when actually I went there, usually you would get these menus where for that said these set menus, and they would be catered towards, for lack of a better term, white people. And it would be like, oh, you get like 2 egg rolls, like orange chicken, and 2 different like vegetable sides, and this sort of thing. No, this is like fish maw soup, 3 forms of Chinese barbecue. Like it actually, like the server was actually pretty apologetic that every time I asked for something, they like nothing on the menu seemed to be there. Like, okay, there's no roast duck. I saw there was roast goose, which is also not something you usually see in Seattle, and they also didn't have it, but they tried their best. I was like, okay, like that's fine. We got roast pork, char siu, and salted chicken. I think this is like snap peas with like not snap peas, but this is hey, yeah, I think these are snap peas with beef and carrots. I added this. This is beef chow fun, or gantang aha, which is usually the test you would kind of give to Chinese chefs. Like there's an omelet test for French and Western chefs to see how good you are, and this one would be the Chinese version of it, because making this and stir frying the noodles without breaking it apart and also imparting the right flavor is very, very difficult on wok skills. This is pork knuckle with bell peppers. That was included in the set. Sweet and sour pork, which is actually a real Cantonese dish, though the addition is a bit different. It's a little more saucy in this version, but like actually the flavors are not incomparable when we actually had it from a Dai Pai Dong in Hong Kong. This is choy sum. This looks like some Buddhist vegetarian dish. It tasted very healthy. Steamed fish with scallions and ginger and sauce. Like this was actually one of the big hits. Everyone really liked it, to my surprise, because it's not of kind of like the traditional Chinese American flavors of like that sweet and sour that you would want, like of like fried things that you want, but everyone really enjoyed the delicateness of this dish, which was pretty surprising to me, and beautifully presented. I added this. This is Peking style pork chops, I think, and actually like the trend. I don't know what the words are, because in Calgary this is different, because it would be called salakwat, which means like salad bones, because it would be topped off with mayonnaise, but they don't typically do that around here. It's basically deep fried pork chops in like a sweet and sour sauce. One of my favorites as a kid. This is a little bit of an Americanized product thing, but really, really nice over white rice to me. It's like this thing destroys white rice for me. And dessert was like grass jelly, which is really traditional. Like, so this all, like, other than the beef chow fun and like gantang aha and like the Peking pork chops, like everything else was from the set menu, and it looked exactly like something you would just order out of my family's menu, like without looking. So I actually really recommend this place. I think it's called Heiji's Restaurant now, because if you look up Imperial Garden, I think Google still hasn't taken my recommendation, saying the place is closed. But it's the set menus are about as close to bringing someone from that Chinese family along with you if you don't know that person, and then just having them make all the decisions, which is not an easy place to find. Let me see. I think that might be it. Let me pull away out, and then we can talk about the things I did on the app and also what's broken. Oh, right. Went to Awazumaya, and I saw like these mangoes, like tree ripe mangoes, for $5 a pound, and I was like, well, that's crazy. Like, And then I sort of looked up online. It's like, oh, it's basically because they had to be like air shipped and handled very carefully. They do taste very different. Um, they kind of taste like processed mango, like mango powder or dried mango, but as a fresh product. Which I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's probably because those are picked at this level of ripeness, and then their product is dried or preserved in a way that so then you get that flavor when you ship it, where your fresh mangoes are more sour and more sour. This one has that sort of processed mango flavor, but it's just as like a fresh product. I know if that may not sound like it makes sense, but if you think about it a way like your canned tomatoes are picked at peak freshness and then canned, which tastes different than your actually fresh tomatoes from like the store where they're greenhouse or like ethylene gas to ripened to turn red. So in a way, your canned tomatoes taste fresher than your actual fresh ones, and it's in this same kind of way, to my experience. Let's see. Yeah, there's a new bubble tea place in town, so took a look at that. That was cool. It's called Gaga Tea. Really nice pearl milk tea with oolong, like, and 50% sweetness. Like, very good tea, like roasted tea flavor on oolong. All right. So, how about we talk about the app? So I guess my big thing that over the past weeks I've been doing is this spinner. So if you refresh this page, you get this spinner thing, and then it waits until it zooms in on the map to the given location and loads the geonotes to actually showcase out the showcase out your stuff. Previously, it would be blank, and then people would be manipulating the map, and they wouldn't know if stuff was still loading. So then I was like, okay, that's cool. The other thing that I tried to add that didn't work. So, was this map bounds thing that I was just trying to reduce the area of this where map markers would show up, like when you search the area, it would show up. So, let me see. Let's get all the way down here. So if I search this area and I put this map marker on like the very far edge, like maybe it's just like a pixel showing right here. It's kind of hard to see that this shows up, especially if it's on like the top rung right here. If it's on the top rung right here, it's kind of very difficult to see. So I just wanted to cut this off. Surprisingly, this is actually very, very difficult because the bounds were based on latitude and longitude for what things show up here. And that scaling changes as you pull out. So as you pull out, especially when you load in as a not logged in user, and it basically shows you the entire globe, well, it will show you the entire globe projected on a square. And not like, I'm pretty sure at least even flat earthers would agree, the world is not a square. So when you try projecting out a square in latitude, longitude, when you try to reduce them by a linear value, like I think it was like 4% around here, it started cutting off to like this section of the lat long, because that was reducing like the 4% by latitude, longitude, rather than the 4% by this bounding box right here. Because the Earth is supposed to be like latitude, longitude is projected as a globe, And when you put that globe on a square, weird things happen, especially when you start putting linear scaling values of 4% down here. So I took that out. That's broken. This solution doesn't work, so I reverted that. On top of that, and before I was recording, I found out there was a different bug right around. Different bug right around here. I can't load more geonotes. And I suspect this is a problem from that spinner thing that I have. So this is a big deal. I was going to talk about my new feature, but this is kind of a very serious problem right now, and I guess this wouldn't be a bad opportunity to talk about how I would approach dealing with this. So let's go through that right now. Okay. First, let's see. Maybe. Okay. First, we need to check out the master branch. Yeah, I know. I could have just actually checked out the master branch, but we might as well spin and warm up the AI, the local code AI server, and go through with that. So, we have this base problem where, it's like I click on this and then it won't load more geonotes. There's two ways I can kind of go doing with this with AI. One of which is just literally describing the problem to it and then just asking it to go fix it, which is kind of like the obvious first way of doing this. And then I think we're probably going to do that right now. But the inevitability is that this is what we would call a regression bug, because something was working before and now it doesn't work. And this is like the one things that you want to avoid in every single software development situation. There's never a case that you want regression. Ha ha ha, I know. The jokes are going to come in, but yeah. So you don't want to encounter a regression problem on your app. So the other solution to this problem, well, it's not so much a solution. It's like the other way we can set this up is that last episode I was talking about my pretty comprehensive tests here to kind of ensure everything's working. It turns out, I guess, like this doesn't have it, because the maximum amount of geonotes I've tested was about 4 of them. And what we need to do is we need to add a situation where we add 11, reload the entire app, add 11 geonotes, see that you have 11 geonotes, reload the entire app, and then you should see 10, and then when you do load more, you should see 11. Inevitably, regardless if we go tell the AI to go do that, we should, on both routes, we should have this test. Now, the problem is that because we're in the regression situation now, we can't, this test will not pass until we write it in a way that, so we would be writing a test that we would expect to fail, and for the AI to continuously iterate until it passes. Which is not wrong, but it's a little bit easier if we revert the spinner changes altogether and then and then go back and then write the test to add 11, to add in 11 geonodes, because we know then that iteration that does work. If we write the test and then it goes to run it, it should pass. And then we can merge back the test into the not working master branch and ask the AI agent to constantly keep fixing this until it works. Oh, it's okay. So we're already on master. So, how are we gonna do this with Git? I think what we can do is that we can check out before we merged that spinner, which was this one. So prior to merging this spinner and then branch that out and then add the new tests to it. Once we confirm that the new tests work, merge that back into master, and then ask the AI agent to run the test, see that it fails. It should fail, and then go fix itself until it works. And then when it does work, we go back and code review that whole process, and then iterate on it. So I think that that's what we're going to do. Probably we'll go do with that. And then the other thing is that, yes, we should add an item to this backlog. So MD. What was it called? Timeline loading spinner. Is it the load more button? Yeah. So I've been doing this instead of doing Jira, which is just adding to this single markdown file in this backlog MD. Obviously, I don't think this would work on like a giant team because you would have huge amounts of merge conflicts. But we're only like two people, like me and my husband, and my husband's more or less part-time. That I find this a lot more freeing in terms of task tracking because it's really easy to add. It's very AI friendly as far as adding it, and it's very easy for the AI to also go pick up and start doing a basic implementation of that task to go handle it. I think as much as I was talking about doing that, I think that we'll give the AI agent a shot at taking a look at this problem by itself and then seeing if it does do it. And if it doesn't, then if we go through multiple iterations, whether or not it's worth the investment to go back into, before that branch, write a new test that actually describes how this did used to work, and then bring that test back into the present, and then to help it to go solve this problem. But first, let's add this task to the backlog. And then from there, we'll do a branch, and then usually my thing is okay, we write this into a backlog, we commit, we push it, then I ask it to branch off master to do a basic implementation of what this description of this problem is, and then we go review it from there. In this case, because we don't have a test for it, The only way to do this is manual testing, and that's the downside. But um, it's like we should write a new integration test that actually covers this situation so we don't run into this situation again. I wish my model would have like a water glass so it would detect it. Not sure why you're taking a while for Qwen 3 coder. I generally prefer the Qwen 3 coder for sort of a direct implementation on the spec, and 3.6 MOE is generally better at conceptual planning, but just for adding a backlog item, like either will work just fine. I am kind of excited for 3.8. I think 3.8 27B, Alibaba is going to release that, I think, in the next week or two. So we'll see how that turns out. Man, this is taking a while. Let's switch to 3.6 MOE and see if there's something weirdly locked up about it. The joke is that it used to be the developers would be goofing off while the computer compiles, and now we're just goofing off while the prompts just run off. Or the AI server needs a restart, so that's gonna be fun. Anyways, I guess that's the problem I'm gonna have to deal with. So I guess this was more about a weekly vlog thing than it. Oh, now you're thinking. Let's see. There shouldn't be a RAM limitation for me, right? Let's see. Oh, okay. There we go. So, yeah, that's what it'll take right now. Oh, that's interesting. I guess it's actually digging into the problem more properly to building the backlog item. So, I hope it doesn't go rogue and try to fix it right now, because I was just asking you to just add to the backlog item. But, you know, that's why it's a little something just to actually read this, see what it's going on and thinking about. But I'm okay with it taking a look at all over about what happened to the problem. It is quite focused on seeing the entirety of the problem right now. I am obviously going to edit this down, but this is going to be funny for my anti-AI friends to look at this and just go like, see, like, you just asked it to add something and now it's going off into this giant tangent. But I'm going to go take advantage of this. If it's going to use this much context to understand the bug, it might as well go try to solve it, because it will have it all loaded up into it. There we go. Okay. It decided that it wanted the most amount of context possible to go add this item, which is okay. It seems to have some pretty good confidence to. You know what? Let's just let's just go ahead and ask it to make that fix. We won't commit and push this straight into master, but we can just might as well just take a check right now, and then if it happens to work, then we create a branch, and then commit the changes, make a pull request, review the code, and then bring it back into master and redeploy it. So it says empty dependency array. Okay. So I did do some cleaning up there, but I guess when I did it and then all the, like, oh, all right, okay, the integration test passed. Then it's like I don't really need them. Um, but turns out I did. So regardless or not, whether or not this does work, um, this should be the new priority, is making the new test to ensure this never happens again. So I can probably guess where that's gonna be done. So back in my pull requests. This is funny because over here was actually going to show my diligence in trying to not just merge anything that was just vibed out, but it turns out that also review process is actually ironically what created this problem. So over there was like 33 commits, like over the initial type it was that the AI started solving that problem, but it's probably down here on hooks use geonotes. Yeah, we erased this dependency array down here because I'm just like, I didn't know which ones was actually necessary, and then as I kind of checked around and also had the AI advice, it's like, oh, you don't actually need any of them. And then it's like, really, is that true? And then it's like, once we remove them and then we ran the integration test again, everything about the integration test worked fine. Adding a geonode, looking for a geonode, routing to one, but I guess we just never tested loading more than 10 geonodes because the integration test only tests 3 to 4 and never actually tested that button. So it turns out that that button's actually necessary for this. So we're going to get this fixed by adding this back in, but we're also going to actually expand that test. So yep, it's saying that it's like, oh no, I screwed up. So this is gonna be part of the process. This dependency array. Yeah, right here is this. It looks like it has replaced that dependency array. So this is probably the process. We're going to ask it to fix it, and then I'm going to manually review the changes. I'm going to expand on the integration test and then come back and iterate around with this. So, yeah, and that's this episode of the Itinerary. So, thanks for coming with me, and I hope to keep making one of these, and we'll keep iterating on it. Yep, so hopefully we'll get this fixed soon, so, because this is kind of a terrible experience. So it'd definitely be a SF2 on any other day on a real company. Anyways, bye.